a long time coming. This should have been my very first episode. Basically, just tell me why I started Stars Podcast. So here I go. Hello, everyone. This is Stars Podcast that stands for Sons Taken Away, Remains Remembered Sincerely, A Mother's Love. And I am your host, Star Nicole. Okay, so I started this because I myself am a mother of an angel. My firstborn of 6 children was murdered on December 31st, 2016 by an ex-girlfriend and her current boyfriend. Most people will say that is justice that was served and received because they were apprehended the following morning on New Year's Day, 2017. As losing, for someone that lost their child, mother or father, there's no justice, really, because our child is no longer here, and we would prefer for our children to be here, alive with us, spending every day with us until it's time for them to bury us. But now it seems like the new trend is us burying our children, which is so sad. Okay, let me go back now to my son from time before he was born until his death. Shawn Anthony Forbes, our firstborn of 6 children. I have 3 boys and 3 girls. Shawn, I had him at 16 years old. I'm going to go when I met his father. Let me get to that. Okay, so we both went to the same elementary, middle school, and high school. I didn't know him until high school. That's when I met him. He was, Shawn's father was on the basketball team at Clara Barton High School. And I used to go to all the games with the girls' basketball team. My best friend at the time was playing on the team, and I was cool with the coach, so I would always go to go to the basketball games, and also I would go to the guys' basketball games. So what it is that we would get off at Church Avenue train station, and after the game, maybe 2 or 3 times I saw him at Church Avenue, and I was like, oh, hey, you on the basketball team. So, we exchanged, not numbers, but, names, and we were talking or whatever. And then what it is we'll take the bus, the B35, which is the Church Avenue bus in Brooklyn, and he will get off at 54th Street, and I will get off at Kings Highway. And, we started seeing each other more often because we went to the same school, and then we would come home around the same time. And so what happened was one day I saw him at the train station, and I had a ring on layaway on Flatbush Avenue at a jewelry store. It had a lion on it, and then like a light green, a paradox stone for August. So of course I'm a Leo if I got the lion, right? So I got that, and I think I was short like $7 or something like that. So I had asked him to borrow some money, the $7. He gave me the money, and when I was paying it back to him, I was giving it to him like change, like quarters, and he was like, "Oh, forget it, just keep it." So anyway, hey, I still owe you $7. 37 years later. Well, anyway, so yeah, we started seeing each other more often because then I would go to Auntie Lulu's Jamaican restaurant, Badu's, which was on Church Avenue between 55th and 54th Street. So I used to hang out over there all the time, and they had like a cluster of stores. They had the restaurant, they had a barber shop, some other little shop, and then they also had like a corner, like a store, a little grocery store within that mall, that section there. So he would get his hair cut from someone that worked at the barbershop. And then I would always be, like I said, Auntie Lulu. So I would see him, and then also, I would walk, Utica Avenue, like Church Avenue from my house. I would walk to Utica because they had like a lot of little stores that you could um get like stockings and get little things, little outfits or little stuff in general. You know, I would go there, and then I would see him from time to time. So that's how we started. Even we became boyfriend and girlfriend. It's not like he asked me or I asked him. We just started talking, started messing around, and that was it. So probably about 8 months later, I was 14, turning 15, and then when I was 15 in July, I actually have four children born in April. It's crazy. My parents, my brother and sister. It's like mad people in my family is April birthdays, so I'll be broke in Aprils. But anyway, so I had Shawn on the 21st of April in 1989, in Brooklyn, New York, at Downstate Hospital, and his father. I was 16, his father was 18, and um, so yeah, we were together, and his mother was so disappointed and so upset that he got me pregnant because she thought that I would, mess up his life and hold him back from, going to school and doing some stuff with his life or a career or whatever the case is, which I guess I understand, but at the end of the day, like the kids usually live with the mother, so if anything, it was more me messing myself up by having a baby, not him. Because the men, they still live their life, they still go out and do what they do, or go to school, or go to work, like you know. So it's so crazy because one day, when they lived on 54th Street, how that house was set up, that you have the front door, and then when you come into your left is like a bedroom, and then you go forward a little bit, and that's the living room, and then there's like a sliding door between the living room, and that was his parents' bedroom, and then to the back was the kitchen and the bathroom. So his mother will always watch soap operas on Channel 7, I believe, General Hospital, and what was the other one? Children, something, I don't remember. All my children, yeah. So anyway, so one day she kept coming in the front, like she would be like, we were in the living room with Shawn, and she was like, did the bell ring? She kept coming back and forth, saying, if the bell rang, the bell did not ring. She just wanted an excuse to come back and forth to see Shawn. So then the last time, this is like probably the fifth or sixth time now that she asked if the bell rang, she looked over at Shawn, and she was like, he is so handsome. He's so adorable. And then she's like, can I hold him? And that's after she didn't want anything to do with him. But she was like, can I hold him? I was like, yeah, like. And then for 2, 3 hours, we didn't see Shawn. He was in the back with his grandmother. So she was sold. She was hooked from then. So, yeah, that was a story about Shawn when he was born. And then 11 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days later, I had my first daughter with his dad. And she is cute because for 5 days, they were the same age. So she's April 16th, he's April 21st. So for 5 days, they were the same age. And it was so cute. I used to always think it was so cute because they were Irish twins. And his sister would always say that they were twins, and he hated that. He used to be like, we're not twins, I'm the big brother. And for the longest time, my daughter was taller than my son. You know how girls be sprouting up, and, you know. So he was so mad because people thought that she was the older sister. But, when they were, I guess 14, 15, he sprouted up, and then he was a little taller. He was taller than her. So that's the story with them. And then fast forward. Okay. So fast forward when Shawn was around 5, I think he was 4 or 5, like 5 years old. His grandmother took him and his sister to England and for vacation for a few weeks. And after he died, it's like when someone died, you find out so much information. I found out that after he died, that when he was in England, he was raped. the R word, by a female, and then um, and then when he and then after from that he is kind of messed up. Like he was, I don't know what to say, addicted to sex, but he was always doing sexual stuff. Like, just, I wouldn't say he was a rapist or anything like that, or a pedophile. Was nothing like that, but he just was doing stuff he shouldn't be doing, like touching girls' butts and doing, little stupidness like that. So what happened was one day when he was in my 11, um, the dean had called for me to come to school because he was supposed to touch some girl's butt, and the parents wanted to see me, and so I went to school, and like he was always getting into trouble with stuff like so. And he was in, I think, seventh or eighth grade, maybe seventh grade. My mother was like, I think we're gonna put you in a private school and see if you do any better because in my 11 junior high school, it was like it was always phone calls coming, and or before that, okay. So one of the phone calls, I was so upset with him. I'm like, damn, it's like every day I'm gonna get a phone call. So I beat him, and what happened was he kept squirming, moving around. So then I ended up hitting him in the face, like on the cheek, with the belt buckle. So I left a mark. So when he went to school the following day, they had called the cops, and then they called me to come into the school. So I went, and they was telling me whatever, and then they called me outside, and they was like, listen, it's okay for you to beat this child if they're misbehaving or whatever the case is, but just don't leave any marks. So, and then meanwhile, while they're telling me that, they're in the office, another cop is in the office talking to him. I guess probably telling him, or if your mother beats you or you get beaten or whatever, and you think is abusive or if she's abusing you, by hitting you, then you could call 911, and then they'll come to your house, whatever. I'm like, so when the cops tell kids like stuff like that, the kids now are looking at it like, oh yeah, my mother can't hit me, can't beat me, I'm gonna call the cops. But then when that happens, okay, and you call the cops on your parent, if you're taken away from the household, where do you think you're gonna go? Probably in some home or some orphanage, or so wherever you're gonna go. But how instead of me giving you tough love and beating you because I have a right to, then you end up being somewhere that they're gonna be abusing you, probably sexually or assaulting you in a worse way. So that's why I don't understand when the cops be telling kids stuff like that, because then they run with it. Anyway, so that's what happened. And then that's when I said, when my mother was saying, let's put him into like a private school and see if he does better. And he actually was doing better. He did better. Then probably 8 months later, 9 months later, we took a trip to Florida. It was my mother, Shawn, his sister, and myself, and we went and we had a good time. It was nice. And then like maybe a year later or so, like my mother was like, maybe we could get a fresh start by moving to Florida. Like, let's see, we could probably sell the house, move to Florida, and see if it'll be better for the kids. And everybody always thinks that it's better, and it's worse or it's the same. It wasn't better, because what happened was we ended up moving, and when we moved, like all the boys around Sean's age, I think it was him and one that was younger than him, but everybody else was like maybe a year or 2 or 3 years old, like a year or two older than him. So we moved, and they labeled our house as the gang house because we will have all the Crip boys there. And my whole thing is how we used to do, like, they didn't smoke or drink. I mean, if they did, they didn't do it around us. So what it was is we had an exercise bench in the garage, we had a couch, we had a TV, and so they would come over there and watch TV or work out, whatever the case is. And we didn't. My mother and I didn't have a problem with that. We didn't have a problem with that because we knew where they were. They weren't doing anything wrong when they were there. And then when they're not in our sight, what are they doing? Probably doing wrong, right? So we didn't have a problem with that. So and I didn't even know they labeled it as a gang house until years later, like after we moved from there, and It was years later, probably 10 years after. I don't know. So anyway, um, so the gang life. Okay, so let me get to the phone calls. I had so many different people calling my house saying how they was gonna murder my son, they gonna kill my son, and this and that or whatever. And I used to be like, well, you gonna kill me first. You're not taking my son from me, so you don't have to kill me first, whatever the case is. So, he had like two people that was higher than him in the Crip gang in the Crip. Their houses got shot up, and then they was gonna shoot up my house, because of Shawn. But then his ex girlfriend is now seeing somebody that's in the Bloods or whatever, and she begged him not to shoot up the house. So he didn't. He didn't shoot up our house. And it was crazy because my mother's bedroom was like in the front of the house. It was like the garage, and then her bedroom was right there. So thank God, because anything could have happened. And one time it was a car on our lawn. Sean's best friend parked the car there, and my kids just came inside, and then they shot up our car, Sean's best friend's car, and I'm like, so it was always something because when they together, how kids be doing stuff when they together, probably beating up rival gang members. I mean, I don't know what was going on. I'm not gonna say I do know because I really don't know what was being done. But whatever they was doing at the house, they was cool. But when they're not at the house, I'm pretty sure it was stuff. Because if you getting arrested and you have curfew and keep breaking curfew and keep getting arrested and all that other stuff, um, you know, obviously it's something. So long story short, the guy that was like kind of the leader of Crips, he the night before this night, he went out with three guys, that were a part of the Bloods. But he thought they was cool because even though they ain't hang out before, that the night before they hung out and they was mad cool, like everything was all right. So the next day, now they was gonna meet up again that next night and go do something. Don't know what they was gonna do, but and then my son and like four of his friends was over at the guy's house and was like, "Oh, we coming with you," and he's like, "Nah, I'm good. Like, you don't gotta come with me." Long story short, I'm sleeping, and then the other guy underneath the guy that went with the other guys, I was dating him at the time, and he came home like around 11 o'clock. Then like 1 o'clock in the morning, he was like, he told me the story of what happened. Like, I was like, they killed him. I was like, he's dead. And he was like, because like for the longest time since I was younger, my best friend and I always see things like we be seeing stuff or we calling stuff, and that's what what I'm saying. That's what be happening. Well, anyway, so about 1 o'clock, he started calling him, calling him. It went straight to voicemail. And I was like, they killed him. He's like, don't say that. I said, no, I'm not saying it just to say it. Like, I'm telling you, they killed him. So anyway, around 3 hours later, one of my son's friends came banging on the door like they the police. It was like probably 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning. He came banging, 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 and he's like, "Oh, they killed him. They killed him." And my son was never the same after that. Like he had punched a hole in the wall. He had punched. I don't know how he ended up breaking. You know how you have a garage door, but the top of it has like glass. So he broke that. I don't know how, but my son was never the same after that. Like he is really messed up behind his death. He really looked up to him. And he used to go see him a lot at the graveyard, go visit him and take pictures, and he was loyal to him. He was loyal to him. So he did that, whatever. And it's crazy because while his friend's girlfriend was pregnant and he had the baby, I believe in these. Nah, this was October of 2006. So February she gave birth to a girl, his daughter, and she looked so much like her dad. And yeah, so she never got to know her father. And her mother is such a good mom. I always tell her that. Kay, you are such a good mother. Yeah. So, like I said, my son was never the same. He used to get into a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff that when he was 21 years old, him and I was having a, a one-on-one talk, and we was talking about, oh yeah, when he was younger, if they had like a community center, where the kids could go to and learn different skills and go do different things, play basketball, whatever, then they wouldn't have been on the streets like that, just, trying to find something to do. So, that's what the Shawn Anthony Forbes Foundation, Inc. is. It's a nonprofit in my son's honor, in his name, and that's my goal, is to actually purchase a one-story home and turn that into a community center. I wanted to have like a big open floor kitchen, so I could teach kids how to cook, how to bake, teach them how to do arts and craft. They could go after school and use a computer, do their homework, practice for their big tests that come before that for them to graduate. That we could feed the homeless. We could have back to school drives with free haircuts and book bags and all that stuff, sneakers and different stuff. And also I definitely want to feed the homeless as well. Go to the shelters at Christmas time. But I want it to be more than just Christmas, but you know, go see the women and the children and give them gifts. And also, like I said before, I was 16 when I had my son and 17 when I had my daughter. So I am a teenage mother, and so I will want to incorporate that. Get to you know, go to shelters or schools or somewhere and have someone the teenagers that's pregnant, be able to help them out, teach them the way of, you know, that your life isn't over because you had a baby at being a teenager, that you could be a good mother and, teach your child positive things. And yeah, it's just so much. I be brainstorming so much, and but I wish I was able to. I wish Sean was able to see this and be a part of this. But then again, if he was alive, I wouldn't have a foundation nonprofit for him, right? But if we could have done that before he passed, but I know he looking down and smiling down at me like, oh, you got this, mommy. Like, we spoke about that, and now you're gonna work it out. So I'm in the process now of getting into 501c3 status, so that way I can receive donations. I do have a few people that donated already, but I want to do that. So I mean, it'll be more legit, the 501c3, and I'll be able to get more donations and stuff. And with the nonprofit, they'll have people that will be able to come to the community center and even help you with your homework and do different things for you and with you. So that's my dream, to do that. And yeah. So like I said, I had 6 kids. I had 3 boys. I had a Sean, his 3 sisters, and I his 2 brothers. And they're all grown now. My youngest is 21. Sean would have been 37. And so their ages 37, 36. This year is 37, 36, 31, 30, 26, and 21. So now I can actually go on vacations. I always said I can't wait for my kids to be adults so I could go on vacation, this and that. But I gotta take care of some other things that's more important than vacation. And next year I'll be good. Go on vacations. I will have all those things up and running, and I'll be good by then. So let me fast forward a little bit to Sean. Okay, so we spoke about the community center. And Shawn was actually a two-time cancer survivor. He first found out he had. Let me go back a little. So it's funny because I was like how I call stuff or how I see stuff but I had like in 2014 sometime. I sent him and his sister a text message saying, I think I have cancer. Why I thought I had cancer, I don't know. But like a month later, Shawn told me, Mommy, I have cancer. I'm like, stop playing with me. He was like, no, for real. So he was a two-time cancer survivor just to get murdered by a woman and her boyfriend. Like, so people, if you have an ex, they're an ex for a reason. Please leave them alone. Because he broke up with this girl in 2009 to get back with an ex-girlfriend that he's been, the girl that he was with for 10 years, right? The girl he was with, the girl that took his life, was pregnant for him, and he told her to have an abortion. So she had an abortion, and all this time she held malice against him. She hated him deep down because of that abortion that she got. And later on, I'll mention a little more about that. So anyway, so yeah, he got back with this other girl, and she really treated him good. And she, took him on vacation with her and her family, and he was able to see things in life that he would have wanted to see. Like him and I always spoke about traveling the world together and this and that. But at least he was able to see stuff before he passed, which I'm so happy and appreciative to her and her parents for doing that. Thank you so much. At least he was able to, you know, see some places before he died. Okay, so he had the cancer. Um, both times it was removed. He had to take chemo. He had to do that. And he's like, if I get cancer again for the third time, I'm not doing chemo. Because it takes a toll on you. Like, my son has the prettiest wavy hair. And then after the chemo, his hair didn't grow back like it should have. That he used to shave it bald because then his hairline was not even. It really messed him up. You know? Um, so he said he wasn't going to do that again. And, and my son he changed a lot from when he's a teenager till the time of his death when he's 27. And, like a year before he died, he had moved to California because he had two friends that lived out there and they had like an extra room. So he's like, I want something different. Like, I want to go live there. Which he moved. He moved all his stuff there. But then he was like, Mama, he was like, I'm there all the time. He was like, I'm hardly never there. I'm always like on the street, like doing different things. And then the roommates by now was back in Florida, so he was there. So he's like, I'm just like spending money unnecessarily and spending money to stay there for a few hours because I don't be home like that. So I was like, why don't you go back home? Like, go back, because I was living in New York then. I was in New York for like 5-6 years. So he was in California. His brothers was in Florida though with my mother. And so I was like, why you don't go back by your grandmother's house and then just help her financially, give her some money, you know? So he's like, all right, whatever. He ended up moving back a few months later. And it was like a year later in I think September or October he had moved back. Because I asked him to move back. I wish I never did. So he moved back. He died December 31st, 2 months later, 2016. So yeah, so he ended up moving back, and I think it was like 2 months before he actually died. And it's crazy because okay, so he found out that he was having a baby, of course, and I said, "Oh, are you having a son?" Because I always guess all my grandkids and my children, and I was right. And this was like April or May, I think of of 2016. He's like, oh, don't tell anybody. That was his favorite thing. Mommy, da 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 da, this and that, but don't tell anybody. But then he still tells certain people. I'm like, so silly. But anyway, I was like, all right, I won't tell anybody, whatever the case is. And then so he was having a baby shower because he moved back to Florida, and he is gonna have a baby shower on December 10th. So I was still in New York, and I was watching YouTube, and it was crazy. I was watching YouTube, and a lot of the YouTube I was watching was death, like parents burying their children. And I kept watching those videos, and my husband was like, "Babe, stop." I wasn't married at the time. I married him in 2018, and he's an ex-boyfriend of mine. I've known him since I was 13, so I love you, baby. But anyway, he's like, "You gonna jinx yourself? Stop that! Stop." And then I had a dream like 2 days after that. I had a dream. My aunt was sick from cancer. She had cancer and she beat it a few times, but then it came back with a vengeance. A vengeance. So it was the dream was either between my aunt, my mother, or my son. One of those three dying, and it was my son. And it's so crazy because, like I said, it was like my husband was like, "Stop! You're gonna jinx yourself. Stop." And then we were going down for December 10th for the baby shower. We went down early. I think we went like a week early, and we ended up going to the baby shower. And I'm glad because all his siblings were there. Everybody was there. His father didn't come because what he was gonna do was wait. What he was gonna do was wait until they had a baby, and then he'll come spend time, with the baby and come see them. So we came, and so the baby shower was December 10th. 3 weeks later, let me go back to, I'm not gonna say 3 weeks later yet. So then, the 25th of December, my brother, since high school, my brother is very, very, very smart. So since high school, what are you doing? Sorry, I'm talking to my dog, Seven. So, what are you doing? You okay? I love you. Okay, so on the 25th of December, my brother came. He moved to Jacksonville. He was working from Jacksonville, and he was there. It was him, my husband, my son, and myself. And we were in the kitchen just talking about stuff in general, like talking about my father, my little sister, like we was talking about just stuff. And then Shawn and my brother made plans to go, like they was gonna go to some nice steak restaurant and have a nice big steak and talk. And by now he's 27, so him and my brother could relate. They're both adults now. So we was talking about stuff, and it's crazy because the day before that I was at Publix. I'm not sure. Like Publix is a supermarket. If you live like in New York or up north, you're not gonna know. But it's like Consumers Supermarket Associated, Key Food. It's a supermarket, whatever. And but it's a bigger one. It's more like how Wall Balance used to be, something like that. Well, anyway, so I went, and then on the checkout line, I saw that Alan Thicke had passed away, and George Michael, the singer. And I was like, it's amazing what stuff you find out on the checkout line, because I didn't even know they passed away. I didn't know. And then a few days later, 6 days later, that was my son too. So let's go to the day. Let's go to the day before he passed away. That was Friday, December 30th, 2016. My son had plans to meet with the ex-girlfriend. He was supposed to go. She was supposed to buy some stuff, and I guess they was talking about her giving him oral sex. So he wrote the next morning. He's like, I hate when I have to do something important and I fall asleep, right? So the whole time she set him up. She set him up because the next day he came to me and he was like, "Oh, mommy, can I use your truck?" And I'm like, "Okay," right? And then he used my truck. He left. And every time I spoke to my son, whether it's like face to face, text, over the phone, anything, I'll be like, I love you. And he'd be like, I love you too, mommy. Like, we'll always say we love each other. And that day, I didn't say it and he didn't say it. His thing was like, oh, I'll be back, you know. So he was supposed to go meet up with his baby mother to go take her somewhere. Oh, he was gonna do something with her, and that's what he had told me. And he borrowed my truck because he had a BMW, and they're more compact. So I guess he wanted my truck, so for the room, for more room. So the time he left the house, at the time they say he passed away was like 1:08 p.m. in the afternoon, and he just left the house like around. He wasn't even going a good 40 minutes before he died. And it's crazy because that morning, my mother goes to church on Sabbath on Saturdays. So she said when she was getting ready for church, he was on the phone pacing back and forth. He was talking to his father, talking about how many kids he's gonna have, or how many different races of women, and this and that. And my mother was just shaking her head like, oh, whatever. So he just was talking so much, like. So then he asked for my truck. I was like, yeah, all right. He took my truck, and I guess I don't know if once everything was finished, like when. So basically, what is she did what she did, and so I don't know if her boyfriend went in behind Shawn and from the driver's side, he was in the driver's seat and went behind him. And I don't know what he said to Shawn, but like all this came up in court, and they had said that Shawn had looked at her and said, "Oh, you setting me up." So whatever he said must have been hostile, or I don't know what happened. So that's what he said to her. Then I guess he must have started stabbing him. My son was stabbed in every vital organ. They tried to slit his throat. He had like stab marks all in his face, his nose. He had from his mid crown of his head down to his eyebrow, and it stopped right there. The blade got embedded. It broke off right there, and what ended his life was a shot to his heart. And I don't care what anybody say. I know she did it because if the guy was behind him and the shot was straight to the heart, it wasn't like it was from behind or from the side. It was right straight, and that's what killed him. And it's so crazy because if you're familiar with Kissimmee area, like off of 192 Arlo Bronson Memorial Highway, Celebration, Florida is supposed to be like a rich area, right? And hardly no crime happens over there. My son was killed at 3016 Parkway Boulevard, and he was left by a dumpster, like he was trash, like he was garbage, like he was nothing. His body was just left there. So whether he opened the door and to let himself out to try to get away, I don't know, or if they opened the door and pushed him out. And what it is they left. They left him, and then they noticed that what they came for, they didn't have it, so they went back to the crime scene with his body, his body there. These two were meth heads, some real druggies. And I'm so mad at my son that he lost his life like that because I used to teach him. I used to always tell him about girls and tell him about this and that. And I always tell my kids, and I want to tell everybody else, once you get in your car, first before you get in your car, look around and make sure that there's nobody close by that. But as soon as you get in, lock the door. That's what I do. I always lock the door because you never know. You watch these shows and these young women getting kidnapped, and they're going to their car not paying attention. Maybe they're on their phone or they just not paying attention. As soon as they go to the car, somebody's right behind them, or they get in the car, they don't lock it, and somebody comes and open the door. Like, always lock your door as soon as you get in, and be aware. And also, like I said about exes, they're ex for a reason. Leave them alone, because if y'all broke up, it could be a lot of hate. It could be, like I said, they broke up and he told her not to have the baby. She got rid of it, and after all this happened, the girl that he had left her to get back with, the one that he was with for 10 years. I'm not gonna say anybody's name, but she's the one that told us, like, he told her that he's gonna go meet with her, and so she knew all that. And what happened was, after he was dead, she had put on her Facebook page, "Oh, I'm sorry that this happened to you, Shawn, and I forgive you now." What? And then, like, another 10 minutes later, when she tried to look, it was gone. So either she deleted her page, or she probably changed her name on there. But I'm like, all those years and you still hold malice, like, what? Like I said, they was apprehended the following morning, about 21 hours later, high out their mind off of meth and other drugs. Yep, just like that. You're here now and you're gone in less than an hour. And then your kids be like, "Oh, I'll see you later," or, "Bye, I'll be back later, I'll see you soon." But he never came back. And you know what's so crazy? Because maybe half hour before, maybe around 3 o'clock, I posted on my Facebook page, you know, tomorrow is a new year, and for everyone, everybody should be happy that they made it to see a new year, and I gave a long drawn out speech on my page, not knowing my son was already dead, you know. And then hours later, after I made phone calls to who I had to make phone calls to tell them that, Shawn was no longer here. I post on Facebook that my son was murdered. Like, you go from putting about, oh, how blessed you are, to see another year tomorrow, not knowing your son is dead, and then your next post is that your son was murdered. You know how? I mean, I couldn't have been playing, right? I know people probably was like, "What the hell?" Like, they probably thought I was playing, but I mean, why would somebody play like that? Yeah. So, so, around 5 o'clock, 4:45, I text Shawn. I was like, "So how is, the baby mother? How's everything with her? Did y'all do what you had to do?" No text back. I was like, "Okay, well," not thinking anything, because I know he had my truck and I know he gonna come back anyway. And then maybe 45 minutes later, bang, 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 and you know how the sheriffs and the cops be banging. So my mother opened the door. I was in the living room, sitting down on the couch, and then they asked for my daughter, not the oldest daughter, my second daughter, and then they asked for me. So my mother was like, "Oh, my daughter's not here, but I'm here." So then I was mad at first. I was like, I don't really like the law like that. So I was like, "Why are you telling them I'm here?" So I ended up going. They wanted to toss me outside. I'm talking, but when they come, they have the plain clothes, like suits or whatever, detective. I'm out there talking to them. Then they start asking me questions about my daughter, my second daughter. See, because what it is, I guess, whoever was attached to my truck, because she drove it a few times, but whoever was attached, so they asked about her. I was like, "Oh yeah, she doesn't. She lives." And I told them that everybody was just here for a baby shower, and she went back to up north. And and then they would start asking about Shawn. And I was like, what is this about? Like, you keep asking me about my son. Like, and then they was asking if he drove my truck. But what happened was he wasn't supposed to be driving at that time. I think his license was suspended or something to do with his license. So I didn't want to get him in trouble about, oh yeah, he used my truck. So I was like, oh no, not that I know of, like, no. Like he don't have my truck. And then they started talking about his baby's mother, his son's mother. And then they talking about Shawn. So they talking about, oh, this does have something to do with a homicide. So I'm saying to myself, like, what? They killed somebody? I was like, why would they do that? Why the hell would they do that? They're about to have a baby. What's wrong with them? And then they start asking about identifying marks, tattoos, moles, anything I could identify Shawn with. They still beat around the bush. They still didn't tell me he was bad. So I was like, yeah, he has his name. He has his name on his arm. I don't remember what arm it was, to be honest with. And I said he has my name on his heart. And they was like, what about a tattoo on the arm? And I was like, oh yeah, he has like a naked lady, and he have rest in peace to the guy he looked up to that died 10 years prior. And it was like, well, I hate that I have to tell you that your son was brutally murdered today. I'm like, what? I had asked him like 4 or 5 times, what? Shawn? Like, who? Shawn? You talking about my son Shawn? He's like, yeah. On First 48, right? When First 48, when you have the detectives come to your house and tell the parents or the family that their child is no longer living. You know that wail that they wail out, that scream, that when they run wherever they run into, running, boiling on the ground, don't know what to do with themselves. You know that? Well, I didn't know that feeling, but I do now. Every time I watch First 48 now, I'll be like, I know your pain. Yeah, it's. So I ran inside. My mother, like I said, she's Seventh-day Adventist, so she just came home from church, and she's gonna go back for the evening. So she was there. My youngest daughter was there. My second son was there, and my youngest was there, but he was outside with his friends. My husband was there, and I came in and I was like, they murdered Shawn. Shawn is dead. And no, everybody looked shocked, but they was like in disbelief, like what? Shawn is dead. Shawn was murdered. My mother thought the sheriff's probably killed him. Because we know that he was there this morning talking about how many kids he's gonna have, to this and that, to, oh, I hate missing important things I have to do and fall asleep, and to you're about to have your baby in a month's time, and you just had a baby shower 3 weeks prior, and you just left to come back. No, I love yous. You're supposed to come back. And you never came back. So now all the phone calls come into play. I called his father a few times. The phone didn't Like, I don't know what was going on with the phone. No, I think I called him twice. He didn't answer. But then I was on the phone with my oldest daughter, and I was talking to somebody else. So you know how I told his father in a text message that Shawn was murdered. I didn't speak to him. I didn't see him face to face. And that's a terrible. Can you imagine you finding out like that? Like, I was so busy doing other things. Like, see, and then his brother, his younger brother, was killed at May 31st, 1992, when he was 18 years old. And his father died suddenly. When took him to the hospital because he had a headache or a stomach ache or something was wrong with him, and then he had a aneurysm. I think that was 2010. Then now your son, it's like, for what? He just was speaking to him this morning. And unfortunately, you know, Shawn's grandmother, his father's mom, passed away last December of 2025. So now his father has his three daughters, and that's it, really. His parents aren't here. His only son, his oldest child, is no longer here, and he has Shawn's son, so he has his grandson. He has his grandson, but it's like when somebody dies and you're told that they're dead, and you know that you just saw them, you know they're supposed to just be coming right back, and they tell you that, the disbelief, because my little cousin had called me from New York to tell me, my condolences, his condolences to me on the death of my son, right? And I was still in so much disbelief, like, at my head, I don't know where my head was. He called me to tell me sorry for Shawn losing his life, condolences to Shawn, to me. And I'm here like an idiot telling him, I didn't mention anything about Shawn, but I'm telling him, oh yeah, we're both Leos. Our sign is the shit, and this and that. I'm talking about us being Leos and us being born in August and us this and that. Nothing to do with Shawn. And I know he probably hung up the phone and was like, she's crazy. The hell is wrong with her? Her son died and she talking about us being Leos. Like, in my head, he was still alive. Like, in my head, until I see him, feel him, touch him, kiss him, hold him, he's still alive, right? It's craziness. I wouldn't wish this on anybody to lose a child, because they're supposed to bury us, right? At least that's what it was like years ago. Now you have these kids, they're younger and younger, they're taking lives, and the lives they're taking are younger and younger too. They're not even seeing 18 years old, 21 years old, and their parents have to bury them. For what? Why? What did they do that they shouldn't be here with their family anymore? What did they do so wrong that someone had to take their life? What? So now I was told to call the coroner to see if my son was there. I got the number, I called. Hi, I was just calling to see if my son is there. Who's your son? Shawn Forbes, date of birth 4/21/89. Oh yeah, I just took care of him. He's here. Just took care of him. Well, you cleaned his body and took out all his organs and stuff. You wired his mouth shut. You You threaded his eyes shut. You stapled and stitched back his head. You cut him with barbed wire. You cut him with whatever you call it, the Y shape that you put in people when you check in their organs and check in a you just took care of my son doing all those things. And because he was stabbed in like almost every main artery, he couldn't even give. He was shot in the heart. He couldn't give his heart to anybody. He couldn't give anything to anyone to help them live. He couldn't. My baby boy. Shawn, I love you so much. You don't understand how much I love you. And it's almost 10 years, and you know how people say, some people say you could jinx yourself. Other people say, no, that's not true. You know, the whole of the pregnancy of his son's mother, he kept saying that he's not going to live to see him born. He kept saying he's going to die like his friend died 10 years ago. He kept saying it. He kept saying it. And I kept saying, don't say that. Don't say that. Don't say that, Shawn. Don't say that. His son was born 24 days after he died. The last year, the last day of 2016, my son was murdered. So then now you have to go and make preparations for him to be buried, or I had him cremated. So you go and you have to go to the funeral home, and you have to look at the caskets and the urns and everything else that they have there. Your 27-year-old, your firstborn. So we were able to see him. Um, I didn't mention they slit his throat, tried to cut his throat, but maybe by then the knife was too dull, so they wasn't able to. Go upstairs. Yeah. So I'm sorry, that's my dog 7. But yeah. And so I was able to take pictures and see him and kiss him and hold him and do all that stuff. And then when it came to the actual funeral with him in the casket, I think I held him, but I I don't know. I I I can't explain. I feel like how I should have been or how I should have acted or what I should have done. I don't think I did because I did it already, and I don't know. I had to buy him a suit. I had to um. It was a lot of people that turned up. A lot. I thank you all. There's probably at least 100 people, and it's so nice the things that they say about your child. Especially your child was an adult, so now from him being a troublesome little boy, always getting into trouble, to the man he the man he became. As far as feeding the homeless and doing certain things, it brings a smile to your face, makes you happy, and say, "Oh, what? My son was doing that," because you remember the little boy he was, or the teenager he was, and the troublesome boy he was, and you know. So so why I started Stars Podcast? Um, I am a part of a WhatsApp and Facebook group called the Village of Love. The founder is Charlotte Davis, known to everyone as Cha Cha. She, her son, as a matter of fact, she came to my son's funeral too. And she lost her son in 22, 2022, October. And she made this group for other people to be able to come and vent or tell this, tell what happened to their babies or their angels, or just in general, a safe place that everyone knew what everyone else was feeling. And everybody that I've interviewed thus far is from Village of Love. I love you, ladies, and thank you for supporting me. Um, it was hard. I went on there all the time, and then I had to take a break. I needed a mental break, everything. So for like 14 months, I stopped going on the Village of Love on WhatsApp um, because it was so depressing. It was so sad that you have new parents coming on there saying they lost their child and their kids were not even 21 yet. Same thing with Facebook. I just let that go for the same amount of time as I did with the WhatsApp, the Village of Love. So I created a new page. This one is really just my business page. Everything that was business is not really, So I am on Facebook. You could request me as Stars Podcast. I don't even know if I have any followers on that yet, but my name on Facebook is Star Nicole Core, Coore. If you are a parent, the email address is stars, STARRS, podcast at Gmail. And if you would like to be on the show and you're a family member, whether grandparent, aunt, uncle, cousin, sibling, it is stars, STARRS, 12/31/16 at Gmail. That's the day that my son passed away. I am also on Google Meet. It's like Zoom, and my email address there is also stars, STARRS, podcast at Gmail, and my toll free phone number is 1-844 stars 0 1-844 STARRS 0, and my local phone number is 1-407-588-8540. And I'm also on Instagram, Stars Podcast. TikTok, I'm on there as well, Stars Podcast, but I hardly be on there, but I have to start, promoting myself more. So those are my platforms that I'm on, and so yeah, I strongly encourage for you when you lose a child. It could be 6 months, a year ago, it could be 20 years ago. I strongly suggest to try and see a counselor, a psychiatrist, if you can. And if not, join these groups. They have a lot of groups with missing your sons or your daughters, or grieving mothers or grieving parents. But there's a lot of groups. We do have Village of Love. On Facebook, we have Stop the Violence. On Facebook, we have um, Panthers of Florida, which is, you know, umbrella of Black Panther movement as well. Um, guns, guns down, voices up. We have that. We have Rose of Miami Gardens. Um, we have Jacksonville Survivors. I think I'm saying it wrong. Jacksonville Survivors. We have coming soon is gonna be BJ's Bridge. Um, we have so many. The lady I interviewed tonight, Paula Davis, she has a book out. Please support her. Her book is A Mother's Wake, and you could get that at Barnes and Noble. I have others, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't have it in front of me, nor did I memorize it yet because I wasn't even gonna go that far. I was just gonna say Village of Love, but I have to big up everybody else and everyone that believed in me and supports me, and were able to come on Stars podcast for me to interview you guys, and we're a family now. We're a part of this dreadful, awful club, but we need a platform, a safe, comfortable platform for parents, family members, and friends to come and share the story of their loved one that has passed to gun violence and other ways of passing. But it's mainly gun violence because most of our babies, that's how they passed away. That's how my baby passed away. Um, so I do have a nonprofit as well for my son. It is Shawn Anthony Forbes Foundation Inc. And it's a nonprofit. Like I said before, it's basically for to get these children off the street. You have children that their parents are working, and most of the families, they're only their mothers aren't there. They're single parents, and they have to work maybe even 2 or 3 jobs to make ends meet, and so they don't have the time that they would like to have with children, and then their children get into stuff like they may join gangs, or they on the street because gang members and other people, they act like they love your child, or that they're there for your child, and that you're not, and so they gravitate towards those people that aren't good for them. You know, your parents do love you. Well, most parents. Please, children, just if your parent chastises you, or may punish you, or um, maybe even beat you, or because you're not listening, or you're not abiding by their rules. Just know your parents love you. They do those things because they want you to be a better person. They want you to be better than they were, or that they are. They don't want you to go astray. Because don't forget, we're already, as Black people, we already have strikes against us. And if you're a male and you're Black, so you don't need anything else to bring you down, or to make the police or other people see you and hate you, and um, may not want you here anymore because of the person you are. Just please, we love you. As adults, we love you. And parents, please just start showing people, or giving them your children mutual respect. I mean, I know they're the child and you're the parent, but respect goes a long way. And If they're being bullied, please don't tell them to suck it up. Please don't tell them to, oh, well, everything will be okay. They're coming to you, they're confiding in you because they trust that you would um, help them or be there for them or maybe tell them the right thing or confront the bully or whatever the case is. Don't tell them, especially the ones that have boys, oh, be a man or, please don't do that. Because if your kids can't come to you, once they're being bullied at school, and everybody is going against them because the bully, everybody wants to be like the bully, or everybody's scared of the bully, they go into the deans, the teachers, the principals, and they're not doing anything. You as a parent should do something. Don't just tell them suck it up or tell them to, because once it's no turning back once they, take their own lives because they feel like their parents not there for them or come on, gotta do better. And not everybody that does the S word will leave a note. They don't. A lot of times they shut down. A lot of times you wouldn't even know. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they doing everything that they would do on their regular days every day, and deep down inside they're dying. They don't want to be here anymore. They're dying inside. So please just mutual respect. Let them know that you love them. Let them know, okay, you're working, but you're doing it for them and you want the best for them. Sit them down, tell them about your life, how you were growing up. Let them know that, you know, if they're being bullied, just our kids are getting extinct. Our kids are dying. And for what? Black on black crime is a shame. It's getting worse by the day, by the hour, by the minute, by the second. We gotta stop. We have to stop. We have to stop. So that's why I decided to make Stars Podcast. I want you to have a voice for yourself and your angel. I want you to feel safe. You could be vulnerable with me. If you need to cry, if you need to take a break, if you need to just sit here and don't say anything at all, you could do that too. You could be on or off camera. I don't care. I don't care about uh oh, I want 100 views. I want 1,000 views. I care about how you feel. I care about when you leave my studio, you could look back and be like, no one else cared like Star cares. No one else asked me certain questions. No one else. I just want to be that person for you. And coming soon will be Stars Roundtable. It will be myself and a panel of 6. Um, we're basically we'll have the roundtable, of course. We all have our own microphones, our own name tags, our names in front of us on the table. And basically, it's to tell anything and everything that you want to tell. If you want to talk about your baby, which of course we're going to do that, we're never going to let down our babies. They're going to always be number one. So we're always going to talk about them. Also, if you're an entrepreneur, you could tell us about what you're doing, what you're planning to do, or your future endeavors. You could talk about if you have any upcoming events that you want the people to know about. If you have a nonprofit, or if you have anything. So I'm not sure when that's going to be. Probably more like September, another 3-4 months, because I started Stars Podcast December 31st of 2025. So yeah, probably like by September. So I'm looking forward to having you guys. And the names thus far that has come to my head that I would love to be a part of my panel. The Stars Roundtable. Um, Mothers and Their Angels Edition is the name. But please, the Joneses, Brian Sr. and Jessica Jones, Crystal Amledge, Cha Davis, Paula, Paula Davis. Hey, the Davises. um, I would like Tanya Lopez, but she lives in Miami, so we'll figure that out. Also Deborah Willis as well. She's in Tallahassee, so we'll figure that out as well. Emily, I would love to have you a part of the panel as well. I keep looking over because I'm looking at all my angel sunshine. So I'm going through them and thinking of their mothers and mothers, fathers. So Lady Star, what's going on? Lady Star promos. Once again, I thank you for trusting me and believing in me and allowing me to be in your presence. For everyone that I interviewed thus far, thank you. It takes a village to raise a child, and we have to start saving these children. It's no reason for our children not to be here anymore, you know. And I want to start with mental health, and then I'm going to end it with people that takes lives. Mental health. Mental health is a real thing. A lot of people have not been diagnosed, and they do have some kind of mental health. We have different things. We have depression, PTSD. It's so many things. Bipolar. It's so many. But depression, anxiety. Do you know? When my son died? It's almost 10 years, December 31st. It does a lot to you because you do have people that won't eat for days or weeks. Or you have people like me. I may eat because my husband makes sure I eat. He's the best husband. But I may eat and I'm so depressed that I stay in bed. So I eat and stay in bed. To the point that almost 10 years later, I put on like 100 pounds, like no lie. So depression does a lot to you. You may not think so. And when you lose a child, that's a big step of someone having depression. You're going to be depressed. Because think of the people that may only have one child, and then you have that one child taken from you, and what else do you have after that? Then you get all the phone calls, all the visits, and then little by little, year by year, it dies down. And then what do you have? What about those parents? They probably had one child, they don't want anymore, so they tied their tubes, or maybe they couldn't have any more but that one. What else do they have? That's why people, if you have, like, say you're a family member or you're a best friend that to the point that you grew up with that person from 5, 6, 7 years old, that you slept with the person over by their house, you slept over all the time, you went on vacations with the family, you went over, you ate with them, you broke bread with them, you did everything with them, and now that your friend is gone, the parent doesn't hear from you anymore. Please let's try and change that. He's gone, you may not, or she's gone, and you may not know what to say really. But just go hold her hand. If she needs to vent to you, or need to cry on your shoulder, please do that for her because, or him. I keep saying her because, I'm looking at myself and it's mainly mothers that I've been speaking with, but you have fathers as well that has lost their children and they need that. So please just don't turn your back on people because they need you the most then, you know? And then the last thing I'll get to is I believe I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a newscaster, I'm just a YouTuber, a mother, a grandmother, and business owners, a serial entrepreneur. That's me. That's just me. I'm a wife too. Don't forget it. Um, a large percentage, I think at least 70% of people that are murdered by someone they know. Whether it's an ex-boyfriend or girlfriend, or a best friend growing up, or a cousin, and they feel that you're doing so good in your life that you should be putting them on, or you should be helping them out, giving them money, showing them the right way, how to do it, and they're jealous of you, or they envy you, or they don't want to see you do good. Because you have a lot of these on YouTube, you have a lot of these like podcasters and women that's doing so well, business owners that's getting killed by their boyfriends or ex-boyfriends because some men really don't want to see women do better than them or make more money than them. I mean, that's factual. That's it. But why kill the person? Just leave them alone. But I'm seeing that more and more every day when I watch YouTube. I'm seeing more and more of business owners or like someone doing well, or that now they're no longer here for what. So please just watch people when you're around them because people be moving differently and you can see that. Like, don't be blind to the fact because that person was your homie from y'all was 5 years old, or your cousin, your first cousin on your mother's side, or or because sometimes you could see how they act. Like you could be in a room with them and they're not sitting next to you or across from you. They in a corner somewhere because they plotting and they so hateful, but they want to show up and still be there. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a lot. If you feel like it's someone that you used to be close to, and now um they're only around with their hand out because they want you to do something for them, or uh just leave them alone. Leave them alone. Because like I said, my son was murdered by an ex-girlfriend and her current boyfriend. So once they're your ex, just leave them alone. It's no need for you to still be conversing with them if they're your ex. Just leave them alone. It's no reason. And people, you could get back with your ex. Like maybe you really love them, and maybe it wasn't that serious, or even if it wasn't, they always be like, "Oh, we could work it out," and then you get with them two, three, four, five, six, seven different times, and then y'all keep breaking up. Why are you still doing it? I had an ex boyfriend that like 3 or 4 different times we broke up, and I always got back with him. But would I have done that like even 10 years ago? No. But you do it because you care about them, this and that. But people show you who they are, and it's up to you to see it. So, like I said, a high percentage of people are murdered by someone they know. Hate and envy and jealousy; those are deadly things. So if you have somebody that feel like that against you, they be plotting, plotting, plotting. They can't wait to your demise. You feel me? So what? Maybe they could come up, or just you not existing anymore will give them joy. Like, really? But yeah. Once again, This is Stars Podcast, and it stands for Sons Taken Away, Remains Remembered Sincerely, A Mother's Love. And I am your host, Star Nicole, and that's the reason why I started this Stars Podcast. It's for you guys. Thank you, and God bless.
And rap is strong. This is all about, no doubt, to stop violence. But first, let's have a moment of silence.